And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
R68 chamber pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roger, planet.
Water towers fly! Yes! Echo down to nominal.
Fighting downside FD off. Bring in FD off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Décollage.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
The methane would be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Hello out there in Rocket Land. I guess that's what I'm going to call the world now. Hello out there in Rocket Land. Welcome to another NSF live stream. You're looking at Falcon 9 B1077 on Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and we're getting ready for a launch of Starlink satellites. This will be Starlink Group 625. I am your host for today. My name is Jack Beyer. I'm content manager for NASA Spaceflight. And as always, we're bringing you coverage from the Cape itself via our very own Max Evans operating a camera down there. Max, how are you doing today?
Good evening, Jack, and good evening, everyone else, too. It is a lovely evening tonight on Florida SpaceCoast.
Excellent. I like to hear that it's lovely because that means we'll have lovely weather for launch. Also joining us on today's stream, we have Sawyer. Sawyer, how you doing, buddy?
It's a little strange seeing Falcon 9 out with daylight still out there, but other than that, I'm doing great.
Good deal. Everyone's doing great. The weather is great. Hopefully the rocket is also doing great. If you all are new to our streams, which I suspect at least some of you might be, you can do a little interactive kind of thing here. If you have any questions you want to ask, just at NASA Spaceflight in chat, and we'll see your question pop up in some software that we have. So yeah, ask away with your questions, but to give us a little short overview of the state of play, I'm going to throw it to you, Sawyer. This was the launch that scrubbed the other night, right?
Yes, it was. We made it down to about T-minus 30 seconds last night when the abort and later scrub was called. The reason for that had to do with the pusher mechanism between the first and second stage. So basically, the pressure has to be just right within those pushers that will then release the second stage and first stage, putting them each on their own trajectory so that they don't bump into each other. It happened to be the center one of the four that are on the vehicle. A lot of times you can kind of see some of the parts of it when you get the view inside the inner stage between the first and second stage right before separation. So that, out of an abundance of caution, led to the abort last night, with the attempt tonight now at 7:20 p.m. Eastern Time, of which they are targeting. And for all those working out in Hawthorne, that means launch for them is at 4:20.
Nice. Well, given the timing of launch, I think the first question that we're going to ask here, and I'll throw this to Max, is Dirk is asking, and a lot of people are asking, is there a possibility of a jellyfish tonight? What's the status with the timing of this launch, Max?
The timing of this one is rather interesting. So the sun is going down right about now, if it's not down already. And T0 is at 7:20. So my prediction is we very well could. And we also have a full moon down below the horizon right now, but who knows? The light reflected off of the sun and back towards the Earth from that perspective might also help light up the second stage exhaust. But tonight is a definite possibility. I'm hoping so.
Good deal. All right, well, we're all going to keep our eyes open for that once this thing lifts off the pad. Like a moon jellyfish is also a thing that happens. Maybe it being just below the horizon will work in our favor, and we'll get some crazy lighting on the exhaust plume, also known as the jellyfish effect. So that'll be something to look out for as we get closer to launch. Right now, just over 35 minutes to go. So hopefully we see things get nice and dark there at the Cape, and we see this exhaust plume light up like we all love to see. Jacob, this is another one for Max. Jacob is asking, how's the humidity looking for some nice audio out there tonight? What's the deal with the humidity, Max?
Yeah, so humidity-wise, it is, I would say, average for this time of year. It's not super sticky out today, but it is definitely noticeable. In terms of the humidity and how that will help carry the sound of the 9 Merlin 1Ds, thicker, more denser air helps carry the sound energy better than thin, warmer air. So, I would say tonight has a very good possibility of being quite punchy.
Good deal. I like punchy audio, and that's honestly one of my favorite parts of launches in general. Not only when you're in person, but with our streams as well. We try to have not only good camera views, but good audio as well. So hopefully tonight we get a little bit of a treat, both with the jellyfish and with some nice extra punchy audio. Jacob is asking, any chance for a lunar transit like last night?
I don't think so tonight. So last night, of course, there was a possibility, given the time of launch and when the moon came up prior to launch. But tonight, the moon will not be coming up until around 8 p.m. And, of course, the T0 is at 7:20. So if for some reason it doesn't go at this attempt and they don't begin fueling for this window, it is possible, I think, given the other T0s. But for this first attempt, no, it is not possible.
Yes, exactly. They're later. If it had delayed later in the window, just like the one did yesterday, then there would be the opportunity. And even then, the moon would still be pretty low on the horizon, relatively speaking. So you'd have to be in just the right spot.
Good deal. That makes sense. Uh-oh. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
My second screen has stopped working, so I can't click on the questions. Hang on a second.
Well, in the meantime, I can confirm that from SpaceX on Twitter, just before we went live, they did confirm that all systems and weather are looking good for liftoff. The official forecast from the 45th Weather Squadron, part of Space Launch Delta 45, is a 95% chance of go tonight.
I like 95%. That sounds very good. I mean, when you get up in the 90s, it's sort of just like, it's basically a green light, right?
Right. They don't issue 100 because they've had in the past 100s that scrubbed, so it's always pretty much 95 is the highest you're going to see, or sometimes they'll put greater than 95% chance. But again, I've seen at least 3-4 launches in person where the go percentage was 40% and it lifted off.
All right, then. I'm immediately remembering the Falcon Heavy demo launch. I forget what the percentage was. I think it might have been 40, but it was not.
It was 40.
It was not great. And they pushed all the way.
40.
Nice.
What was it? Demo 2 was 40.
I think CRS 24, I think it was I think down below 20, and it still launched. So even if the odds are close to zero, you honestly, with how the weather can be down here, you honestly never know. And oh my goodness, this sky is turning absolutely wonderful behind me by the VAB.
Excellent. SpaceX tweeting that less than 1 hour to Falcon 9's launch of 23 Starlink satellites from Florida, all systems and weather are looking good for liftoff. And in fact, if you look at the Falcon 9 there on the right, at the bottom or near the bottom of the booster, you can see frost beginning to form on the outside of those sooty tanks. So that is excellent. That means SpaceX has begun fueling the boosters. So that's what we want to see. In addition to that, those are some beautiful skies. Hopefully, we get an equally beautiful launch tonight. Max, Whitney and John Cook are asking, why is the SpaceCoast the best coast? I'm just going to let you have that.
Because our cadence, absolutely. Well, it's one thing to launch, between 4 to 10 times a year, but when you're flying upwards of 50 to 70 times a year like we are, it's kind of easy to see why.
There's also some beautiful spots along the beach around Cocoa and Titusville, even a little bit north, which is still technically considered part of the Space Coast there. It's just a beautiful area, too, that happens to launch rockets quite often now. So I even though I technically don't live on the Space Coast, it's one of my all-time favorites.
There's also quite a lot more history here too between Apollo and of course the space shuttle as well.
My.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not taking that bait. Robert Latta, thank you for becoming a Pad Rat member. RC Horseman, thank you for gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Art, becoming a Pad Rat member. Musical Wolves, thank you so much. They say second time a charm. Using bacon for stage sep. How would you even do that? Andy Law, thank you for gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Richard, thank you so much for the super chat. 10 curly L's. They say as long as we don't have the rocket in reverse like Duck Dodgers. Oh, that's classic. Cameron Roth, thank you for the support. They say how many more Falcon 9 boosters do you think will be constructed? What is their current production cadence? I'm going to throw this one to you, Sawyer, because I have no idea how often they're pumping Falcon 9s out of Hawthorne. I'm waiting for Alex to start typing in our back channel.
Yeah, I mean, they're in the production of some, but a lot of it right now is they have their main 10 to 12 core boosters or so that they've been flying pretty regularly. They're obviously still going to keep building more in the future to keep up that kind of 10 to 12 regular boosters. You want to have some that are younger in the fleet. You also have some customers that prefer or request newer boosters in the fleet because of the mission profile. So a lot of that is taken into account as well. You also have the occasional expendable missions where you'll take them and throw them away, so you're going to kind of have to add another booster for that. So it's going to be a constant production, basically just trying to keep up with the demand.
Right. Alex in our back channel is betting 30 to 40 more boosters at a minimum. And Alex is smart, so I'll just trust what he says, what his thoughts are.
Keep in mind, that means we would be in the 1100s worth of boosters as opposed to this one, just 1077.
Right, yeah, that's going to be interesting once we get there. And Sawyer, to be fair, there are expandable missions. I mean, I'm thinking of New Horizons where they extended the mission and got to do other things with the spacecraft after the primary mission. Expandable missions are a thing. It's not all expendable.
Thank you, Star Wars, Star Trek.
Oh my god.
You mess with my speech, I mess with your speech, sir.
We're no longer friends. You're no longer S tier. In fact, I got nothing else. But what we do have is a cool photo from Max, as we can see Falcon 9 sort of lighting up there in the sunset. Let's look at this photo from Max. ... Nice.
Look at that.
Max, do these mid-evening Starlinks hit in any particular way?
You know, they do. They hit. You know, they don't hit different. They hit well. I'll say that.
Oh,
because the late night Starlinks, those are the ones that really hit different. When you're dragging on to 2 or 3 a.m., those ones hit different. But these ones, especially at this hour, these ones are hitting well. So I'll say that.
Good deal. Let's see here. More questions. Keep your questions coming, y'all, at NASA Spaceflight in chat, as we are just under 27 minutes to go to launch. Jacob is asking, what does the D in Merlin 1D stand for? Actually, they're asking, what does the 1D stand for? So that's just an increment of the version of Merlin, right? It's not like one dolphin or anything like that.
Right. Although one dolphin would be, I think, more appropriate for down in Starbase. But yes, no, it is the Merlin 1 is the engine, and they go through different iterations of the engine. So there was the Merlin 1C that was used prior to the Merlin 1D. And then the other engine that they do also have there would be the Merlin Vacuum. That one doesn't get a letter, it's just MVAC, because that one operates in the vacuum of space. Or at least is optimized for it.
At least we hope.
Yes, whether it be large or stubby, it is optimized for orbit.
Speaking of stubby...
Do not forget the Kestrel engine, though, back on the Falcon 1.
Yeah, that's also they sort of had a bird naming theme. In fact, they still kind of do with raptor, although raptor is not a specific bird, but a type of bird. But whatever, I digress. Speaking of stubby nozzles, Whitney and John Cook are asking, is this a stubby nozzle launch? No, it's not, right, Max? Because stubby nozzle bad, right, Max?
Yeah. So for the performance needed to lift these heavier Starlink payloads to their orbits, they need the full size MVAC nozzle. So until they deem that they can use the stubby nozzle for Starlink missions at some point, I don't believe so. It's gonna be quite a while, unfortunately.
Good. No, that's fortunately stubby nozzle bad. That's the official position of NSF.
My position
Official
is
by
stubby
whose
nozzle.
standard?
I will say stubby nozzle bad. Different placement of second stage camera, great.
True. That's true. Oh, we have a poll in chat. Best nozzle. It says boring original nozzles or stubby awesomeness. This is a biased poll. This
No,
is a kangaroo
that is
court.
a phenomenal
Based.
poll. Thank you very
Based.
much.
All right. Moving right along. Outdoors Man Show is asking, is the Slick 40 crew access tower being built at Hangar M? Max?
The crew access tower being built at Hangar M?
I think they mean
no.
the access
I think
arm.
I think they mean the arm.
So the access arm, we believe that is the case. But as from what we can tell, both from our angle over here at the press site and from the SpaceX stream yesterday, the arm is not yet at the tower. So we don't know exactly when that is going to change or when that is going to move into place. But we believe that that is where it's being built. The four sections that were used for the actual crew access tower, those were all assembled at the Hangar X Roberts Road facility, where the Starship towers were assembled, or the Starship tower segments were assembled, I should say, over at Pad A.
Good deal. We have a photo of it from a tweet that you did up on screen, Max. Good shot.
Which tweet? I can't see the screen.
That
It's
was
the
from
one that
when
says
they
the last.
added the fourth segment.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, these segments are huge.
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 Let's see here. Oh no, Okay, I'm going to throw my second monitor into the ocean. Sawyer, can you clear that question and ask another one while I do this?
Yes, you're going to be throwing it into the best ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, because it's on the East Coast, which is Best Coast. Here's something we haven't talked about yet tonight. Alan asking, what is the flight path for tonight's launch? And people asking where it might be visible for them. So tonight it is another southeastern trajectory Starlink launch. For those who like the exact specifics of it, it will be into a 43-degree inclined orbit. So that basically just means to the southeast. So if you are anywhere along the coast from the Treasure Coast, including the Space Coast, obviously, Space Coast, Treasure Coast, all the way down Palm Beach, Broward, Miami-Dade, Keys, that way you'll have a very good chance of seeing it. Likely on the West Coast, in that southern part, you should be able to get a view of it as well. By the way, I should add, while it is going southeast, the drone ship Just Read the Instructions will be waiting to catch the booster 1077 after its 8th flight, and then a little further downrange, the fairing halves are also set to splash down and be recovered, I believe, by Bob.
Good deal. You said booster 1077, right?
I did.
Cool, that's the same price as a small cheese pizza and a small soda from Panucci's Pizza. I had to do it again. I'm sorry.
Haha, it's even funnier the second time, not.
Let's see, we're coming up on the T-minus 20-minute vent, which we will not miss, but let's do a quick couple thanks before then. Pink Bunny, thank you for your support. They say, I love everything you guys do. Kim, thank you for grabbing something from the store. What did they get? Let's see here. Ooh, they got a metal print. Nice. And Blake Alexander gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you for doing that. And Bideford, wow. $50 super chat again. Thank you so much, Bideford, for all of the support. They say, here's for a launch tonight, since I wore my Starship earrings at the office today, and all us gals know what I mean by that. Let's everyone know there is a launch sometime today, and I will be busy. Nice.
We need
That's
to
nifty.
get Bideford connected with Alicia to compare their space earring collection.
Right? When feature video on space earrings? Let's do it.
Yes.
Cat Herder Cam, thank you so much for the support. Yay, Cat Herder Cam made it back out for this second attempt. They say projector setup here at Rotary Riverfront Park again, streaming for the crowd. And we need more puns. All right, well, Sawyer, you're on notice. We need more puns.
All right, fine. Let me vent about not getting enough puns because we are now at the T-minus 20-minute vent, and you can see it happening right there on the screen. For those wondering what that actually means, so in the countdown, they have been loading RP-1, which is Rocket Propellant 1, a refined form of kerosene, into that second stage. That is now completed, and that is usually indicated by that venting. That will happen for about 4 more minutes or so, and when that completes, that will mean that second stage LOX load, liquid oxygen or Loxygen, has begun loading into that second stage as well. So this is kind of purging the lines ahead of the next propellant, in this case, I guess, oxidizer, being loaded.
Oxidizer is a propellant, although I have no idea what Loxygen is. I don't subscribe to Team Loxygen, I'm sorry.
You do know who helped create that with me.
Who? Adrian?
Thomas.
Oh, man.
So you're casting a bad name upon Thomas, just say.
Oh, I could never do that, though. All right, fine, Loxygen. Either way, thank you, Cat Herder Cam, for the support. I didn't show that on screen. My bad. There we go. Now it's on screen. Adrian in our back channel voting Loxygen. I guess I'm just outvoted on this one. It's all right.
Yeah, same with the coast.
JS Web Productions is asking, does Jack have mute power tonight? No. Turns out I never had it.
It's almost like we were just talking about that before we went live.
It's almost like I should not have put myself completely on blast by determining if I had the power or not on stream live on air. But I guess that's just a lesson I.
Hey Jack, what's the what's the nozzle pull at right now? Tell everybody. Share
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't.
It's disappeared from YouTube chat for me. Sorry, I can't.
Oh, so
either.
weird. Oh, funny, interesting.
Yeah, that's dang it. Oh, I really wanted to see the results of that poll. That completely unbiased and totally representative poll.
That's all right. We know the winner would be the non-stubby, so it's fine.
Oh yeah.
Right. Moving on. Stephen Clark. Thank you so much. I love doing that to you, Max. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jack. It's okay. It's fine. The people have already spoken, Clark, so it's fine.
As a Red Team member, says, let's light this broomstick. Love your streams. Thank you, Stephen, for being a member for 2 months. And Fire Alarm Man 2023. Interesting name. 8 months as a Red Team member. Thank you for the support.
I appreciate the throwback to the broomstick, by the way.
Yeah, nice. That's a good... It's still a solid meme.
Oh, yeah.
Just over 17 minutes to go. I can read. And we are continuing to watch Falcon 9 get fueled up so that it can loft these 23 V2 mini Starlink satellites into an orbit. I guess a southeasterly orbit, if that's even a way you can describe an orbit. A southeasterly trajectory.
Yeah, that's it's a southeasterly inclination if you want to be specific, but yeah, it's going to be orbiting in a southeasterly direction, keeping in mind that these Starlink V2 mini satellites that have a 6 in front of it are typically placed, as is with this mission, in a 284 by 293 kilometer parking orbit, then use their onboard Hall effect thrusters to reach a circular orbit, which is where they will begin operations of 530 kilometers.
Good deal. Oh, we have a new poll.
Oh, no.
The poll is if I should have mute power or not. Come on, chat. Maybe I'll actually get it.
You all know how dangerous that is.
Come on. Okay, I pledge here and now to only use my mute powers, should I get them, respectfully and with maximum restraint. Come on. Come on, chat, please.
That's what they all say, man. Come on, Chad,
Yeah,
don't do it.
I've heard that before.
It's a dangerous power.
No, I'll be good.
I'm
I
not sure
swear.
Jack can handle it.
I will say, anyone who's on Team Pun Token, do not vote for this man to get mute power.
No, he needs it. I need it. All right, well, we'll see where that poll turns out. But in the meantime, we are waiting for launch. 15 minutes and 31 seconds to go.
Which you'll notice
tell
the
I'm
venting-
stalling while I...
You'll notice the venting has stopped,
ahead.
by the way. That, again, as we mentioned, happening in about 16 minutes or so, that is the indication that liquid oxygen load is now underway on the second stage. I should point out this whole time, the liquid oxygen and RP1 load has been ongoing in the first stage booster as well, hence you see it getting frosty.
Excellent. Matthew K. is asking, do you think this will be visible in Tampa despite the southeastern trajectory?
Potentially,
Any thoughts?
yeah.
Yeah,
Should be
it
able
absolutely
to.
should. I have some friends who live over in the Tampa Clearwater area, and they can see it very well, weather pending, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you have good weather in your area, absolutely.
Yeah, I remember seeing shuttle missions from Tampa when I was growing up, so that's entirely possible, but I was curious how the trajectory might affect things here. And obviously, Falcon 9 is a little bit smaller than... Wow, that was fast, Ryan. Good job.
Look at the addition.
Yes. So yeah, good deal. If you're in Tampa, if you have clear skies, go outside, look up. Maybe you'll get a glimpse of Falcon 9 lofting these internet satellites into space. Let's see here. Oh, this is a kind of a fun one. James is asking, what were your first rocket launches? Not just Falcon 9, any rocket. Sawyer, you're King Flex over here, so I'll let you go first.
Are we talking about just have seen on TV, or if we're going IRL? For me, that was
IRL.
that was STS-130 Endeavour. Hence, part of why that is the best shuttle. But it was fantastic. I mean, the first night was absolutely freezing, and it scrubbed due to winds and, I believe, abort weather downrange in Zaragoza. And then it did go the next night. So I was also there as part of Make-A-Wish as a kid at the time. So that made it extra special. I was there with my family. It was the first launch I'd ever seen. And I happened to run into the family of one of the crew members that was on board and have now become friends with them and said astronaut as a result.
Classic Sawyer Flex. Good deal. Max, what was your first launch?
The very first launch that I watched on the television was way back in 2005. STS-114 Discovery returned to flight after Columbia. I remember that one very clearly. The first one I saw in person actually was only about 3.5 years ago, and that was the last launch of the Dragon 1 capsule, CRS-20, back in March of 2020. And since then, I think tonight is number 122. So come quite a long ways in only 3.5 years.
Wow.
Deal, yeah, that's
I'm
quite a
at
long ways.
I'm at 49, so I'm excited for CRS-29, which should put me at 50.
Nice. My first launch was, I want to say STS-88. It was obviously a long time ago. I think it was an ISS assembly mission.
The first?
My memory is that it was an Atlantis launch, but 88 was not Atlantis. So I've been trying to figure.
Guess what flew it?
No, it was Endeavour. I know.
Yay!
But I need to go back in like the family archives and see if I can find in a scrapbook somewhere, a photo album, evidence of what exactly mission it was. But yeah, that was insane. I was like an annoying space-loving kid, and my dad, thankfully, and mom got us car passes, so we got to drive out onto the causeway, and we were like 6 miles away. It was, obviously a very important experience in Tiny Jack's life. Good question, though.
And yeah, that was the first ever ISS mission by a shuttle, where they met up with Zarya and docked the... and basically everything was started right there. That was the first mission to the ISS. And that's what
Neat.
added Unity to the ISS.
Neat. Yeah, I need to, like I said, I need to go back and make sure that I'm remembering that correctly. But that's In my memory, first launch I ever saw, STS-88. Either way, it was a shuttle launch, and my mind was utterly blown.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Speaking of utterly mind-blowing, we're getting loads of support from everybody. Thank you so much as we creep closer to the T-minus 10-minute mark. The Captain Lee fan and Batman, 7 months as a PadRat member. Thank you so much. Gabro Plays, thank you so much for 3 months as a Red Team member. They say, let's, send this Falcon to space for what my brother thinks is the 9999, etc. launch. Don't ask why he thinks that. I mean, because there's been a lot of Falcon 9 launches, is my guess. Max, how happy are you about this cadence?
To be honest with you, I'm thrilled. Even though it has become like watching, it's almost become like watching airplanes take off out of the airport. And next year will be even more so that way with the cadence they're targeting next year. But to be honest with you, for me personally, this never gets old, and I enjoy coming out here every single time, bringing views to everybody. So, I'm absolutely chuffed.
Excellent. Morgan, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. 941 Matt, celebrating 6 months of membership as a Red Team member. Thank you. Ian, thank you for the 20 months as a PadRat member. They say sending lots of love for Jack with lots of bacon. Thank you so much. Science Bob, they say thanks for continuing your coverage on YouTube. Sorry, SpaceX moved to X. Oh well. I mean, I do miss the mission control audio, but is what it is. And holy cow, Russell Snodgrass, another one of those names that pops up all the time, especially with high dollar amounts of support, which is so appreciated as we get closer and closer to IFT2 and try to have literally everything we can primed and ready to go, and all the special secret things you guys don't know about ready to go. And seriously, thank you so much, Russell. That is a crazy amount of support. It's huge. So thank you so much. We don't really need to talk too much about Russell's comment here about no mute power.
Yes,
I think
we do.
chat spoke.
No mute
I
power.
think chat.
Chew some bacon and take it like a man. With that much support, we are reading it.
But chat spoke. Chat said I should have the power. So I mean, Russell is awesome. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know how to parse these two things. I'm sort of like, does not compute.
Right. That's why he shouldn't have the mute power if he can't even talk.
Oh, boo. Boo,
Anyway,
I say.
continuing along as we T-minus 8 minutes here.
T-minus 8 minutes and counting. Again, this is Starlink 625 from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and they're launching 23 Starlink mini satellites. So hopefully things will continue to progress smoothly here. Sawyer, what do we expect to see next as the countdown progresses?
So the next major thing in the countdown is the chill down of the 9 Merlin 1D engines at the base of the rocket, which happens at about T-minus 7 minutes, basically conditioning them for the major amounts of fuel and heat and thrust and everything that they are about to experience once it lifts off. After that, the things that we'll keep an eye out for visually will be the retraction of the transporter erector, the TE, also known as the strong back. It will go back a couple of degrees. For those wondering, that is what holds all of the lines and connections to the rocket going up the side there where you see those little tubes and pipes and everything. So that helps provide not only the propellants, but it also has data lines, it also has power, air conditioning, other items to keep the appropriate environment for the payloads, things like that, and all of those will disconnect once we hit T0.
Good deal. Just under 7 minutes to go. Let's see. Blushy Boy saying that booster be dirty. I thought they were white. Lol. Well, it is very dirty because it's flown a lot of missions. Sawyer, how many missions has B-1077 flown?
I was going to say, we haven't mentioned that yet. This booster is the veteran of 7 flights. This is flight number 8. It has previously launched Crew 5, GPS-3 SV-06, Inmarsat I-6F2, CRS-28, Intelsat G-37, and 2 additional Starlink missions.
Excellent. So yes, it is a very well accomplished and therefore very sooty booster, but luckily as they fuel it up, as you can see, it gets nice and frosty and that white look kind of comes back at least a little bit.
And once it launches, we can actually point out some of the key moments where that soot literally gets on the rocket. There are some very obvious moments of why it's so sooty.
Indeed. Kirk Pierce, 24 months as a Red Team member. They say they saw STS-88 from the Causeway in 1998 as well. My only live launch so far. Neat. And they're just slightly older than me. Nerd, gifting 10 Red Team memberships. Thank you, Nerd. That's very kind of you. If you got one from Nerd or anybody else, be sure to thank them. Isaiah, thank you for the support. They're asking, what's with buttered sausage? Is this a Gary Busey joke? They got a Starbase calendar. Very cool. Corey, thank you for the support. 31 months as a Capcom member. They say, love all the great coverage. You all rock. And bacon. All the bacon. Yes, indeed. Jimmy Zombie, asking, when restack with a 6-month Red Team membership milestone? I think we're all sort of expecting the next stack to be the last one before launch. So, really, it just depends on when Starship is going to do its thing. But we're not a Starship stream today. We are looking at Falcon 9. So, hopefully we see that restack in Flight 2 of Starship here soon. But tonight, all eyes are on B1077 and 23 internet satellites. Paul Betraw, thanks for the super chat, and Jeff Rowe, thanks for gifting a Red Team membership. All right, 4 minutes to go. I think at this point we should say adieu to Max, so Max can operate a camera for launch. Max, adieu.
I bid you adieu.
Excellent. Have a good track, and we'll see you on the other side, hoping for some jellyfish action. Now, if you don't know what a jellyfish is, if you haven't tuned into one of our jellyfish streams before, we're not positive we're going to get one tonight, but it is possible given the timing of everything. Basically, when the sun has set and the rocket ascends into light, because the sun recently set, we get a chance for the exhaust plume of the rocket to be illuminated by the sun, while the point of view of the camera is in shadow. And it can create a pretty spectacular visual, especially with Falcon 9 doing its thing at stage SEP and the booster, orienting itself and the cold gas thrusters and all of that. So this could be quite a show here in just over 3 minutes. Sawyer, we're
the reason
about to
for the
see
name,
another
by the
event,
way,
are we not?
I was going to say, the reason for the name, by the way, of the jellyfish is because it does look like the top of a jellyfish once it gets to that point. So the things that you were talking about now, venting-wise, yes, there's a little bit of venting now, and then there will be another major vent at about T-minus 90 seconds, so a minute and a half. That will help indicate the conclusion of fueling on board the vehicle. So, again, right now they are finishing loading up the first stage with all of its propellants, and we should get confirmation of that. In fact, we have confirmation. Stage 1 LOX load, liquid oxygen load, is complete at T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds here. Then, in just a short while, we will see another big vent, which indicates that liquid oxygen load on the second stage is complete, and we should be fully fueled at that point.
Excellent. So, just over 2 minutes to go. Again, hoping we get a jellyfish effect tonight. Chances seem good, and we're all just hoping that that is what we get to see. Either way, as long as we get these satellites safely into orbit without any RUDs, then we're all going to be happy here.
Especially since, again, this is a very heavy payload with the 23, usually it's 22 Starlink V2 mini satellites. This is the second mission so far that will launch 23, which we believe ties now for the heaviest payload for a Falcon 9 launch with the last launch of 23. And there's that vent, by the way, at 90 seconds, which should indicate that the rocket is now completely full of propellant, and that will purge out any remaining liquid oxygen from the line, which you don't want any remaining oxygen in lines that could catch fire as it lifts off.
Good deal. And so at 1 minute and counting, which happens in 10 seconds, the onboard computers are going to take over control, right?
Correct. That is called Falcon 9 entering startup. So Falcon 9 in startup means all the onboard computers will have control of the count, which should be happening now. That is also when all of the tanks are pressurized to their flight levels. And at this point, we have confirmation that Falcon 9 is in startup. The next thing we should be getting in the next couple of seconds or so would be a go for launch from the launch director, as we are also very much approaching the point where the abort was called last night. But we have the go for launch now from the launch director at T-minus 30 seconds.
Excellent. And so when Falcon 9 lifts off the pad, we will be quiet momentarily so you can listen to the roar of those 9 Merlin engines, and we will be watching for that spectacular jellyfish effect. Hopefully it happens. It's not a given, but it seems like things are going to line up tonight. So here we go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 B-1077, carrying 23 more Starlink satellites into orbit. Let's listen. Absolutely beautiful audio there. Excellent stuff. Great track from Max as well. The vehicle has passed through Max Q and is continuing to head uphill. Sawyer, what are we going to see next here? Sawyer?
Yes, we will start to see the plume expand, as you see now, as we get into the thinner parts of the atmosphere. And then, in about 15 seconds or so, we should see MECO, which is main engine cutoff. That'll be followed a couple seconds later by the separation of the first and second stages, of which one of those pushers was the concern yesterday. Followed a few seconds after that by SES-1, which is the start of the second stage Merlin vacuum engine.
All right, here we go. You can see the booster engines have cut off. You can see the second stage igniting right there. Brilliant work from Max on this track. And hopefully now we get that jellyfish effect.
You can see the flashes still coming from the first stage there too in that plume.
Right, you can see the cold gas thrusters on the first stage reorienting the booster for its entry back into the atmosphere. Is this Max or is this auto track?
No, this is Max.
Flummoxed. This is excellent.
And we are 10 seconds away from, or a few seconds away now from payload fairing separation, so keep an eye out for that too.
Oh, here we go. This is beautiful. Keep an eye out. We should be able to see those fairings in this shot. This is excellent.
That is what is known as a jellyfish for those who had questions. This is the perfect definition of it.
Are those the I think I see the fairings.
They're in there.
Two little points of light briefly there. Yep, you can see them. Excellent work. So now the second stage is muscling those satellites into orbit while the first stage is doing its thing, turning around and coming back to get ready to re-enter the atmosphere.
Yeah, and at this point, the Starlink satellites with the fairing separation are exposed to the vacuum of space. That fairing halves basically there to help protect all of the satellites during launch when you go through the thicker parts of the atmosphere. Yes, the 2 dots going by. Those will then splash down, as we mentioned, in the Atlantic and be recovered to be flown again.
Excellent. Max is doing a great job here tracking the second stage. Really beautiful stuff. And we will continue to watch that as it ascends and wait for the booster to head back into the atmosphere and conduct its entry burn. You can see the booster there on the left with some ice being shed off of it. And you can see, of course, the second stage on the right continuing to push its payload into space. I love when they have the telemetry up on screen like this, because then you can see the second stage just absolutely piling on the speed, while the first stage at this point in its flight is falling. So it is also accelerating, but nowhere near at the same speed as the second stage. And then as soon as it begins that entry burn, we will get all of that speed beginning to get scrubbed off of the booster. So keep an eye out for that. But speaking of keeping an eye out, Max still has the second stage. That is a great track, Max.
Yes, we also got to see those cold gas thrusters in action, of which we saw the plumes of them earlier through Max's track, too.
Right. The cold gas thrusters, when the conditions are right, really look amazing. I mean, it's like the sort of definition you can get off of each pulse from each thruster is absolutely crazy. So, good deal.
And that's used to help orient the vehicle, by the way. At this point, we should be coming up very shortly on first stage entry burn. We should be about a minute away or so from that. That is the first of 2 burns to help bring the first stage booster back down to land on the drone ship waiting out in the Atlantic. This one is, we like to say, it fights fire with fire, and where it literally uses the fire from its engines to slow itself down. And keep in mind the fact that it is going through its own smoke plume. Well, that is a carbon-based fuel. So that is how you get the soot. So flying through all of that carbon, you get sooty boosters.
Yeah, RP1 is essentially just super refined kerosene, right? And while it does burn well, it doesn't exactly burn clean. And so when the booster flies through its own plume like that, is that the entry burn starting up?
That
there we
should
go.
be entry burn, yep. And there it is with Max.
Oh, that is beautiful. Look at the color on that exhaust.
That was
and
viewed
looks like
from
a good
the press
entry
pipe.
burn. That was excellent. Way to go, Max. And there you can see on SpaceX's feed, which is a little bit behind real time, you can see that same entry burn. And once again, that is Falcon 9 fighting fire with fire. I mean, I know we all talk about Delta IV Heavy as being the most metal rocket because it sets itself on fire before launch, but I don't know, that title might be in contention given that Falcon 9 uses fire to literally protect itself.
Couple things I want to point out here. On the right side of your screen, that weird little glowing thing, that is the sunset that we had just seen of the Earth. So that is the horizon of the Earth. And then when it does come back on the left side of the screen, you were able to see a little bit of the plasma coming through those grid fins, which once we get to the landing burn, will start acting in the thicker parts of the atmosphere to help steer the vehicle. So the landing will happen first. That will be followed shortly thereafter, hopefully by SECO 1, which is second engine cutoff 1, or the shutdown of that Merlin vacuum engine for the first time ahead of its second burn about 45 minutes later.
Righto. I love seeing the plasma come through the grid fins, and I'm even more excited than I am normally about Starship, particularly about when a booster is coming back into the atmosphere, and hopefully we get that same effect and a similar view of it from even bigger grid fins.
Yes.
All right, we're coming up on booster landing here. Let's see if SpaceX manages to get their feed back.
2 kilometers off the deck.
And if they successfully nail this landing, as you can see, the engine has started up for that landing burn. It will be 106. Look at it go through the clouds. Oh my gosh. And the grid
you see
fins
the grid fins wiggle?
Yep. That should be a dance, the grid fin wiggle. You just kind of shimmy back and forth.
Landing like deploy.
And touchdown. Excellent. So that is 167 landings in a row. That is amazing.
Or 166, but yes,
Everybody
that's still impressive.
Oh, Alex just pranked me. It's 166. Thank you, Alex.
but that is still
Good deal.
impressive in a row. Unbelievable. And yeah, that booster, again, has now flown 8 times, earning its Dash 9. And with the Starlink satellites in orbit, another interesting milestone here is that while there are around 4,400 operational Starlink satellites, this launch will put the number of active satellites in orbit to over 5,000. So that should now be 5,011 active Starlink satellites once these all go into their final operational orbit.
That is truly remarkable. That's just so many satellites. But speaking of remarkable, Max, that was a great track, man. Good job.
Yeah, that was tricky because there's always at this time of year, like right after the sun goes down, there's about a 20 or 30-minute window where the mosquitoes just come out and absolutely swarm everything that has a heat signature. And I was battling that with the track all the way upwards. So hopefully it looked good. But yeah, that was beautiful. The jellyfish wasn't quite as vibrant as it looked on camera. Unfortunately, I think we're a little bit too far past the sunset for it to look even better than that. But going back to the question that the one viewer had earlier with the humidity and carrying the sound energy, that was a very, very, very punchy one tonight, and the VAB sounded glorious too. Less so than the normal, actually, because it has some doors open, so that also affects how the sound reverbs off of it. But yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. And we got the stage 1 entry bird from here, too, which is kind of a rarity.
Yeah, that was an amazing view. That looked really great, and I must say, chat was rightfully flipping out at that shot. So great work in keeping that in camera.
Phenomenal
Wonderful.
tracking, and I know there was very faint VAB squeal, as you mentioned, with a bunch of the doors open. Still kind of hanging in there.
I love me some sonic squeal. All right. Well, that was, by all accounts, a great-looking launch. We have a couple more people to thank here. Cat Herder Cam, thank you so much for the 33 months as a flight engineer. That's truly an outstanding amount of support, which is why I'm going to read this. They say, Jack, is it Star Trek or Star Wars? Asking for a friend. There's two different things. And when you're about to say one, and in your head you're like, don't say the wrong one, yeah, sometimes you can say the wrong one because you're overthinking it. It's great. It's really great when you say that to like 14,000 people. 14,000 nerds. Atmo, thank you for the support. They say, jellyfish. Heck yeah, that is beautiful. Ron Gum, thank you for becoming a PadRat member. And Richard Cochran, thank you for the support. They say, myself and Jeff Clark, both recalling Miko being the act who performed the Star Wars theme. Coincidence? I think not. That one's over my head.
Well, I mean, if you're really looking for a musical group, that's Max Q, which is a group of astronauts that actually perform.
Nice. And somebody named Adrian Beale or Bile, I don't know who that is. They're saying, oh no, no.
What does it say?
No, I don't want to. Don't
I'll
make
read
me
it
read
then.
it.
You gotta read it. I
Yes.
can't see the screen. You gotta read it.
Do you want me to read it then?
Yes, go.
Yeah,
Sure,
somebody read
Tivana
it.
was a gas used in fuel, hyperdrive, starship weaponry, and as coolant around the gravitoactive elements of repulsor lifts.
Sure. Look, if it's not in the original trilogy, I don't care. But that's me.
Don't be hating on the prequels now.
I'm hating on them.
Don't
I hate
you
'em.
dare. How dare you?
Horrible cash grab. Shouldn't have existed.
But
How
that's
about we
the Cox
check the
sequels.
replays
Yeah,
instead?
hey, look, we have replays. There's launch once again. You can see we still have the pad live on the right, but on the left is our view of launch. Adrian says prequels are better? Adrian. No. Demonstrably false.
This
They
tracking,
are.
though, is better than all of that because Max did a phenomenal job.
Good deal.
How about
Yeah,
that?
that was a really great track and also a good segue, Sawyer. Good job.
Thank you, I try.
I think we have a couple more replays here.
We do.
So let's let this one play out and then we will take a look at those.
Shout out to Ryan, who is pushing the buttons, pulling the levers tonight with the help of Jay, but pulling these replays for us here.
Yes, indeed. I like that we can have active, rapid replays. It's something that I feel like keeps things interesting, right?
Oh, for sure.
All right, and then we'll get that exhaust plume expanding. Oh, wait, we doing the next one? Yes, we'll do the next one. This is from one of our bots, I believe. Dawson is Robot Army.
And bot spot.
Oh, okay, no, this is the entry burn. Wow, look at that.
Oh, wow, yeah. Still from the bot, I believe. Oh, no, that's Max, isn't it?
Beautiful. The red on that plume is absolutely gorgeous.
It's so hard to capture what that color actually looks like, and Max, phenomenal job on this and the last one, too.
Good deal. Maybe with this insane launch cadence, Max has had enough practice at this point where he's just like basically a robot himself.
I mean, it has happened quite a lot, and it has been quite a lot of practice. If there ever is a time to practice any new skill for either photography or videography, it's certainly these Starlink missions. So there's been a lot of practice for sure.
Well, there's certainly enough of them to try it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Excellent stuff.
That is the that is the 50th dedicated Starlink launch this year, by the way.
Oh, and we have a photo from Julia. Beautiful shot from Julia.
Love the reflection. Julia never disappoints with those. If you don't follow her, I know I keep saying this every stream, but I genuinely mean it. If you don't follow her imagery, you're missing out. She has some of the best shots on the SpaceCoast.
Yeah, I could not have said it better myself. In fact, I literally could not have said it better because I am yelling at Adrian in our back channel because he's saying Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie, which is just demonstrably false. Chris,
right,
can
that's
we...
what I'm trying to... You know what's also the best? That this is the 79th launch of the year for SpaceX. I remember their goal was 100 this year and 144 next year. And I should add that does include the Starship first integrated flight test. So 79 launches for SpaceX this year, 78 successes, and one, I guess, partial success based off of the data learned. But yeah, it's closer to 100. And the entire back channel is all in caps lock, so I think National Caps Lock was, what was that, last week? I think it's worth pointing out that we can continue this argument with more launches coming up in the next week alone here at the Cape. Keep in mind we have the next Starlink, which is 6-26, currently scheduled for no earlier than Friday, November 3rd. I believe that window opens at 6:37 p.m., although I don't know if we have the exact T0 for it yet. And then after that is the CRS-29 mission, which is an ISS resupply mission with the Cargo Dragon. In case you can tell, the 29th, it uses Cargo Dragon V2, and that liftoff is scheduled for, I believe it's 10:01 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, November 5th. It is an instantaneous launch window, but it is also an RTLS.
All right, well, excellent stuff. Thank you for that, Sawyer. I think with that, we will wrap it up for tonight. Max, thanks for being on camera, even though you have bad takes about Star Wars.
I think Chad would all agree with us on this one, Jack. I mean, you've already taken a couple of pretty good L's over on the polls tonight, so... but yeah, it was an absolute pleasure coming out here again for everybody, and hopefully I will see everyone again very soon.
Excellent. And thank you, Sawyer, for being on as well.
My honor to try and keep things on the rails here at the end, which is ironic because usually I'm the one derailing things here, but always love these Starlink launches. They do be hitting. I'll say that. They do be hitting.
They do. Excellent. And also thanks to Ryan in the background and Jay for pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, running in the giant steampunk hamster wheel, making the stream work. So thank you for that. Even though Ryan also has bad Star Wars takes. And, of course, I'm Jack Beyer. And with that, I think we will call it a night. You don't have to stay here. You can go hang out in SpaceCoast Live or Starbase Live. But this stream is ending. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you all on the next one.
And here we go. We have liftoff.
Propulsion continues
68 chamber pressure looks good.
Traveling up. Roger there, the planet.
Echo down to nominal.
Flight downside FTE off. Say again, FTE off. Off. It's orange! 145! Oh my god! Oh my god! Decollage!
Put that in the big bag, Eagle.
343 unfolds to go.
Indeed.
We rise together back to the moon and beyond.
This methane will be igniting in the flare, correct?
Yikes. You dead? Sure. We don't need any more of these.